Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by The Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffitt Entertainment. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, everyone. So great to have you listening in on Arts and Entertainment Conversations from the Sioux Empire. For those of you unfamiliar with where the Sioux Empire is, it's not really an empire, but we think of it that way. Someday we need to figure out who the king and the queen are. It's roughly the metro area plus a tri-state area around Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Coming up later in the show, we'll be talking with actor-director Rose Ann Hofland about her work on the stage, as well as her full-time work with Levitt at the Falls. Coming up in a few minutes is a man who has chipped in nearly every capacity of the theater. Bob Nelson talks about it all and even teaches us the Sioux Falls anthem. Who knew, right?
Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day in your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party.
Lift them up high. Of course, depending upon where and when you're listening, might depend on what you can be lifting up high. As I put this together on a Wednesday night, you know what it is. Oh, Jasper Newton. Jack Daniels Diet Coke and a lime will be had this evening. At least one. But definitely toast it, because we're toasting to after parties. Last Friday, after seeing Improv Falls, which, by the way, was incredible, make sure that you catch them sometime, we were invited to Aaron Sharp and Emily Dykstra's home. Now, both of them, they happen to be getting married later this month. They were on the show a month or two back. Great time, a great couple, and they have a very nice home. In fact, Aaron has posters of every production that he's been in. And Emily right now is just looking for a better plumber. And that's an inside joke that those that were there will catch it. Had a great time getting just to socialize with some very talented actors and basically all around theater buffs that were there. Just a great time seeing some that you typically only see while you're looking at Facebook and you respond back and forth, or you get to see them at a show, but you didn't get a chance to really talk much afterward. Fun time. So cheers to you to after parties. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours. No matter what brewery in Sioux Falls is your favorite, Ale Hop Brewery Tours lets you and your friends choose any or all of the 8 local breweries. Here's the good part, too. They take care of, in fact, some might say the best part, they take care of the driving, so you don't have to worry about, any issues with your consumption. They do that in a very cool van. It sits up to 6, so you need to book your private tour online at alehopbrewerytours.com. Now, they also do Wine Wednesdays, so talk to them about that. Plus, on the weekend, if you're already out and about, they have their public tours. And for more info on that, call 605-777-2183. That is 605-777-2183. Take it from others. I'd recommend this tour to anyone, beer lover or not. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews.
Honorable mention.
And honorable mention is going to go to some fine fellows that have another local podcast. It's the 3 guys that happen to have a Backlot 605 podcast all about movies. This month, they're featuring Mel Brooks comedies. And they started off the series with me talking about Blazing Saddles. It's a very non-politically correct movie. I will put that up front for those that know nothing about it. But by the same token, for those that have seen it dozens, maybe hundreds of times, it's a laugh basically a minute. Mel Brooks is a genius at comedy. So, first of all, honorable mention to, Mel Brooks and for everything that he has provided in film, but also to local guys that just love to talk about it. You've got Casey, you've got Brian and Sam, and those three, they love film. There is no doubt about it. And so congratulations to them. This is episode number 124 for my show. Yeah. They're way ahead of me yet because they started a year earlier. I will never catch up to them. Okay, so coming up later in the show, actor and director Rose Ann Hofland. Up next, a Sioux Falls man that's been around the theater many years and in many ways, Bob Nelson on the Dave Holly Hour.
Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
Hi, my name is Jesse Moffitt, and I'm not a piano player. I'm a comic magician and hypnotist. I've been performing for over 20 years. I've performed at many events, corporate events, holiday parties, post-prom parties, graduation parties, state and county fairs, festivals, just about anything you can imagine. The funniest thing about the Magic Act is that I use a ton of audience participation, and that can make things really interesting. Put it down the front of your shirt. So my hand won't follow it. The best thing about the hypnosis show is that the volunteers and their imaginations really make it a blast.
Holy crap, dude, did you see what you just did? You could do that possibly to girls. For booking information, go to Jesse Moffitt Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
Welcome back, everybody. It's always a pleasure. You know I say that every time, but it just is. And the gentleman that's going to be joining us now, we could say needs no introduction because he's been around here so long, but he's a first-time guest. I've been wanting to have him on for a long time and just keep running into him because we're at a lot of events together and just having a great time. And Bob Nelson, it is great to have you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is, I consider a pleasure to do this. I've listened to some of the podcasts from before, and it's quite a good venue to have for arts and entertainment.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that. And it kind of started off when I started it at first. I thought it would have a lot of arts and entertainment in it. But I thought there might be, some city hall stuff and so forth from time to time. But after interviewing Robin Byrne as my first guest, I was like, drop all the excess stuff.
Right.
Just stick to having a couple of people on and getting to know them and dig a little deeper than a regular radio interview would.
Worked on a lot of shows with Robin.
Yes, that you have.
Yes.
You've worked on a lot of shows, period.
Oh, period, yes.
Do you have a number?
I don't have a number.
You never kept track of it?
I first started doing shows at the Orpheum in 76. Mm-hmm. That was a musical called Company. And we built the set on the stage while they rehearsed in the lobby because there was no shop.
Right.
And the dressing rooms and bathrooms were underneath the stage. So it was, still set up as a vaudeville theater because back in those days, the set was just the train would pull up behind the theater. They unload the set, get on with the show, and they load it back up and on their way. So they had no use for a shop or any extra wing space. So it was a challenge then.
Yeah. What do you think has been the most important part of all of that growth to where we are now?
Well, it's number one, I guess it gives us a chance to expand and do things that didn't have room to do before. I remember when we did Mary Poppins, every piece of the set moved, and it was like choreography just with the set on scene changes.
Yeah.
So and having that space to go to off on the wings to put extra pieces was very convenient because it was almost like the pieces just flew in just like Mary Poppins.
Well, it's such a grand old theater anyway.
Oh yes,
but
yes,
to
over 100
understand
years old,
that the way that it's grown and so forth, and I think that brings up a good point. Sometimes we think, oh yeah, somebody was a stage manager on something, and so. Well, maybe back in 1976, stage manager did a few things, and you had the prop master and so forth.
Uh-huh.
But, that's a huge responsibility now.
Oh, yes, definitely. And all the theater that I, have done, I learned most of it at the Orpheum. I've worked at, other theaters down in Worthing at the Old Town Theater, and we used to have it's called the Barn Theater that was down by the T exit. And that was just in the summertime.
Yeah.
And some of the shows that we did, it was one I was in, we were wearing our winter coats in the middle of summer on stage. And
in a South
trying
Dakota
not
summer.
to sweat. Yeah.
Right. How did that trying part work out?
Oh yeah, it's not well.
Yeah,
but the Barn Theater was very interesting. It was, people in the area wanted a place to do theater in the summertime too. So Dee Cullen,
I remember Dee. Yeah.
She had this barn. She says, "I've got a barn. We can put a theater in that," and then it just happened. So everybody got together and they put the seats in there and put a stage in and some rudimentary lights made out of number 10 cans.
Oh wow!
And just light bulbs.
They had to be
at first,
up close.
Yeah, and so did with what they had, but wanted to keep doing that theater. So. Just to give that, I guess I would say to the bug that you get inside you, after a while you go, God, I got to do some theater, whether it be backstage,
exactly,
or understage, or over the stage, or
Well, bringing up the name
of
Dee Cullen reminds me. She was quite the poet, too.
Oh, she was. Yes, definitely. Dee was, she's a grand old lady. She did a show called Everybody Loves Opal, and she played Opal. And there were 2 or 3 other shows about Opal. I think there was Opal's $1 Million Duck and Opal Gets Married, I think, but just a whole series of them that and of course she played Opal in all of them. So.
What's been your favorite thing to do in the theater?
Oh, probably the most fun show I worked on was Arsenic and Old Lace. I played the director of the sanitarium that comes in Act 3, which was kind of interesting because the first 2 acts, I was the house manager for the show. And then on the third
double
act,
duty.
Yeah, and then the third act, I got into costume and makeup, and then came in the third act and played that sanitarium director.
Yeah. Was his name Dr. something?
Yes, Dr. Witherspoon.
Yes.
Witherspoon, yes.
I played the same part in high school. Yeah. There was only like 12 lines or something, wasn't there?
Yeah. And the one line in the last line of the show, the ladies or I comment this as well. It's been I thought I'd had my last glass of elderberry wine. The ladies go, no, here it is.
Yep. Oh, classic.
It is, yes.
What was the first play you were ever in or part of?
The first one was Finian's Rainbow in junior high. Was just one of the chorus. And it was very interesting because at that time, didn't think anything of it, but half the class was in blackface. So
it'd be different these days,
and no one thought anything of it. But the times change, and you move along with the changes, and so it got it was interesting because some had to take off a lot of makeup at the end of the show, and others didn't.
Right.
So,
what is the key to enjoying theater for as long as you have?
The key, I think, is the people that you get to work with, because it's that collaboration that you have with all those people. Each person has their own different thing that they have to do for the show to be successful and to run smoothly, and all those things coming together, for one performance or a series of performances is just okay. We got this, and then to hear the reaction from the audience. It just gives you butterflies inside and say, yes, we did it.
Yeah. In terms of your career in theater, is there anything you haven't done?
I say I haven't directed a show. I might try that, maybe, a small show. But I've been in ones where there's just two of us. I've been a technical director for some shows. So, responsible for the set and the lights and sound and all that. And haven't, done any, I'm not a choral director, so I haven't done any music directing or any choreographing or anything like that. But, pretty much everything else I've done, worked on the set and stage manager and fly lines and, you name it. So, but, you learn sometimes out of necessity. It's like, okay, we're looking for somebody to do this. Well, I haven't done that before, but I'll learn. Yeah. So,
necessity, the mother of invention.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've seen so many different things, but what do you think the state of our theater community is now? Not just Premier Playhouse, but throw in Corson, throw in Old Town, throw in anywhere that somebody performs now.
I love that the way it's growing, and to see other people with a passion for theater to keep it going, and sometimes you see a show and you go, I maybe would have done that a little different, but pretty good. It was a pretty good show. So, and anytime I see a show that I've seen before, you go, okay, I would never thought of doing it that way.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Do you go out of every show with some sort of enjoyment, even if it might not have been that great of a show?
Oh, yes. I listen very carefully to the lines because I know that they're written like in Arsenic and Old Lace, a very well-written show because it's all set up and then, bam, you get the punchlines and it's like bam, bam, bam. And sometimes people don't listen and hear that. Well, they just made a joke there, but nobody's laughing except me.
I tend to be in that category sometimes. It's like, that was clever, and I chuckle.
Yeah.
You might catch it in another minute or something.
Yeah,
Maybe they'll have a callback on it. All right. We're talking with Bob. And Bob, you are just a great guy to be around anyway.
Well,
thanks. You always
Thanks.
have a great smile on your face. You always seem to be having fun.
Yeah.
And, I feel like we're becoming good friends.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that comes up so often when I'm talking to somebody from the theater is the word family.
Yes.
You have to have one of the most extensive and expansive theater families in town, don't you?
I do. It's, and and that's one part of it. It's a place where people can come and feel like they're at home. Sometimes you get, the wrong kind of, the wrong mix of people together for a show, and you can see it. But generally, for most of the show, everybody gets along, everybody does their best, and you strive to get to that final performance. So.
Yeah. And, it's so fun because, you spend a lot of time together when you're in rehearsals.
Oh, yeah,
There's
definitely.
no doubt about that.
Definitely.
And a smaller cast especially, you become quite close. But even the big casts, like Christmas Carol, with 56 people. But still everybody has relationships from that show.
In Les Miserables, we had 70.
Yeah.
So, glad we had that wind space then, because otherwise it would have been standing room only down in the dressing room. So,
well, and that's the unique thing about the Orpheum, the way that it is set up with those dressing rooms down below and so forth. Now, I've performed there a couple of times in some non-theater shows, in some magic shows. The Ghost showed up one time.
Oh, really?
Have you ever heard the Ghost or anything?
Never.
Never have,
Nope.
huh?
Been there all by myself late at night working on set or something.
Nothing.
Haven't heard.
Man, I was hoping you might have some good ghost stories about that.
Maybe I'm just not paying attention. But
no, that ticked off the Ghost more than did it.
Here's to you, Larry.
Is there a role that you haven't played that you would love to?
Oh, gosh. Well, I was just thinking that we were going to do Music Man. Was it at the end? Was it last season or season before? Anyway, COVID messed
everything up.
And I would have liked to have done Mayor Shin.
I can see it was that.
Either that or in the quartet.
Yeah.
Yes.
The barbershop quartet.
Yep.
Light a rose, I'm home again, Rose.
To put the sun back in the sky.
You have a great memory because you can sing that. I mean, I remember the chorus part. Light a rose, I'm home again, Rose. But you can actually do the lyrics on something like that. But before we started to record today, you sang something, and this has a teeny bit of a tie-in to me because at one time I worked at KELO Radio. Well, long ago, there was a radio show at Christmas time called Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn, yes.
Ray Loftusness.
Yes, Ray.
And
good
man,
old Ray.
he was, well, not only good old Ray, but talk about a true broadcaster.
Oh,
there aren't
definitely,
many left
definitely.
anymore.
Yep.
Somebody that could do everything.
Right.
And do it in a professional manner and an upstanding manner.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about that because I'm doing some work with Jeff Gould right now, who has Prairie Home or a Prairie Christmas.
Right.
And so we were kind of going back. Actually, you said Ray Loftus's.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went forward with everybody that had done it since.
Right.
And you were telling me you have a little Ray Loftus's story.
Well, yes. Well, we did a variety show at the Orpheum. This was like in, I want to say 83, 84, right around there. And one of the songs that we did was the Sioux Falls anthem. And Ray taught that to us. And I don't know if you want me to sing
Let's
it for you.
hear it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
It goes, I've traveled all around this country to the north, south, east, and west, and I've come to one conclusion, that my hometown's the best. I'm from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's the greatest city that I know. I love it more every day. Here I'm going to stay, and in the next 100 years watch it grow. For in South Dakota, you get more than your quota of friends who will never let you down. I'm from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's my hometown.
I love it.
And so you learn it. And then about 5 years ago, got to sing that on the McKinnon stage with Sylvia Hankin.
Oh,
which was quite
the
an
grand
honor.
lady.
Yes, exactly.
And I tell you what, that thinking of your memory and being able to bring the lyrics back like that and so forth, obviously helps you play a role then, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
When you get a character,
Yep.
is it pretty easy for you to do the line memorization?
It usually is, yes. There was a part I had in Spamalot where the dialogue didn't make any sense at all. So you had to memorize it. Okay, what's coming next?
Yeah, where's my cue?
Because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, but that's what made it funny. So yeah, that's tough. Otherwise, usually with lines, you've got some either with the music, but with lines, you've got movement that goes with it, or fits into the story line somewhere. So okay, I'm going to the kitchen to get some tuna, and so you go to the kitchen. So that makes it a lot easier.
You get a choice to be in a play or a musical. Which one are you taking?
Gosh, I would say a musical because I like to sing.
Yeah.
And even if I'm not in the show, I like to be backstage as a stagehand so I can sing along.
Really?
Yeah. When we did Rent, I worked the props on that show.
Well, I thought you were going to say you worked 525,600 minutes.
But I was backstage singing along in the chorus parts, not the solo part, but just the chorus parts. And so, which was almost like being out there on stage. So,
you have fun regardless, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah. That's a way to enjoy it.
I don't like the alternative. So.
Yeah. By the way, we should mention that we are recording this at our wine bar and kitchen. And so you have a beer and I have a glass of wine. Cheers to you, Bob.
Yeah, cheers to you.
Oh, love it. Very good.
Yes.
This is the way to do an interview, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Everybody should have this opportunity. And for those that haven't been on the show, you're probably coming up soon.
There you go.
Always enjoy talking about arts and entertainment. And so you've been in a lot, you've done a lot behind the scenes and so forth. What is it when you get into a character that you're looking for that is going to put your spin on it, on something that people may have seen before?
Well, actually, I try to make it different than what anyone has seen before. So, whether it be adding, a body tick or something like that, or changing your voice just a little bit to, make the character sound a little different. When I worked at taking claims at Esurance on the phone, and I get somebody on the line that has an accent, and wouldn't you know, I would start doing that accent after a while, asking them questions. So
fit right in.
Fit right in there. So,
do you have a favorite accent you like to do?
I like the British accent and the Southern accent. It all depends, you know. Yeah.
Have you ever done an imitation of Robin Byrne?
That I have not.
Yeah.
But I've heard a good one, though.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, who?
Who was it? Gosh. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I did hear one. Yeah, I did hear one. Yeah.
Just like, you know, John Mogan from Mogan's Heroes?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. His drummer is, can't think of the first name now. But
I know Denny.
Yeah, Denny Gale.
Denny Gale.
Hoffman, but can't think of the first name right now. But anyway, had him on a year or two back, and he was talking about the first time that he met John Mogan, and then he did an imitation of John Mogan. And I thought I was going to wet my pants. It was so funny. So it's amazing what can be done, though, with different voices.
Right. And I've done shows with his brother, Gene Mogan. So,
okay.
Yeah. He was in shows in Playhouse days. So, and like you said earlier, met a lot of people that I've, you know, connected with. Just being in shows and if nothing else, I was volunteer coordinator for a while and would set up all the ushers and the house managers and all that, and sometimes ended up doing it myself. But,
when people don't show.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, that's the way you get to know people. I mean, you just, you know, start a conversation, you know, and some people, sometimes you're walking down a hall or something, say hi to somebody, and they're just looking down the floor and
right.
oh, sorry, you know, sorry you got to live like that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, true.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. I feel sorry for those people that can't have their own voice in some way. Yeah. All right. Always love to end with a couple of questions.
Okay.
Question one kind of typically gets answers number two. But boy, that sounded strange, didn't it? Answers number two. All right. But question number one is, when you are not part of the arts and entertainment scene, what do you like to go out and be entertained by?
Well, like we did last Friday, went out and saw the Improv Falls. Love doing that. And, you know, just I don't like to go to concerts inside because I've got hypersensitive hearing. So real loud noises, it's like more
screechy type stuff.
Than, even though I do love music, so which makes it difficult. I like to watch arts made, you know, or see arts that have been made. Like when they do the Sidewalk Arts Festival, walk around and see all the things that people think of and what they use to make those with too. So
a lot of creativity.
Yes,
that's for sure. Any hobbies aside from being involved in so much?
Not much time for that.
Yeah. That's why question one sometimes takes care of the second
I always say,
one.
you know, I don't watch sports or do sports. I said theater is my sport. So
that should be a bumper sticker.
Yeah. And I have a hard time sitting through a show. I get fidgety. Okay, what's going on backstage and what, you know, what's, you know, because I'm used to walking around, you know, being, you know, active during the show. So it's like, it's hard just to sit there sometimes and not do anything.
So
but react,
say,
you know.
Relax. Bob.
Yeah.
Relax. All right, my friend, it's been a pleasure having you on. And thank you so much. Appreciate your time. And we have some lovely parting gifts for you, too.
Oh, yes.
All right. We'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself, too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment, 605-334-1463.
It's another Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment conversation on the Dave Holly Hour.
Welcome back, everyone. Always a pleasure. It is. I'm just going to say that now. You might as well get used to it. Maybe I'll even just record it, and we'll have that as a proverbial every time Dave has a conversation. It'll just be the recording that starts. It's always a pleasure. And it is, especially when I get another first-time guest. I've been admiring her for years and even have volunteered for her in the past. It's Rose Ann Hofland from stage, from volunteering, from working at the Levitt. And we're going to talk about all of it today. Rose, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
If I were any better, I'd be twins.
Love it.
I do too. And if I were, I'd get twice as much done. Some days I think I need two.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
I can imagine.
I could maybe use triplets these days.
You probably could. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk first off, Into the Woods.
Yes.
You were going to be directing that. I was going to say, we're already to the point where we can say you are, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You are directing it for Goodnight Theater, and it's coming up very soon, and probably caught you even on your way to a rehearsal?
Well, there's a dance brush-up tonight.
Dance brush-up, okay.
That's the one piece that I can't help with, so they'll be okay. We have Rebecca Merriman as our very talented choreographer.
That she is, yeah.
I will leave it in her capable hands tonight.
So does that mean you even get to stay home?
I think so.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
Tell us about Into the Woods. It's very, very well known. But for those that haven't ever taken a gander at it, what is Into the Woods?
You know, Into the Woods is a musical theater classic. It is a Stephen Sondheim musical written in the 80s and really has withstood the test of time, frankly, over the years. It is a mishmash of all of your favorite fairy tale characters, plus some, which was really brilliantly woven together. So you have the story of Cinderella, you have the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, you have the story of Little Red Riding Hood and others, all mixed together into one sort of epic story of these characters getting their wish in Act 1, and then in Act 2, seeing what happens when you get your wish and sometimes the repercussions of those things. So it has a very...
Be careful what you wish for,
exactly,
as they say. Yeah.
It's a very sort of humorous and clever Act 1 and a little bit darker Act 2, but is really just a very moving story. The music is the stuff that musical theater actors dream of. The characters are rich. There are a ton of strong female characters in Into the Woods. It's one not to be missed, and not to be missed live, I would say, too.
True, yeah. And there's always something special when you can be in the theater and experience that and take it all in, and you've got a great cast for this, too.
I do.
Tell us who's involved and what they're doing.
Now, I can't forget anybody, but what's unique about this production, and not unique to Goodnight necessarily, but unique to Into the Woods, is Into the Woods is probably written for around 18 characters in a traditional production. In our Goodnight theater production, we have 10 actors who are a part of this. So we have several who are playing several roles.
Multiple parts, yeah.
Some are doing 2 roles, some are doing 3 roles within the production. So some of the folks that are involved are some of the Goodnight company that you've seen probably for many years. So Bob Wendland is involved. He's playing our narrator / mysterious man.
I remember one thing where he played male.
Yeah.
He was every male part in it.
Yes.
He's used to it then.
Yeah. So he's got 2 this time, which he's handling wonderfully, of course. Jess Johansson is playing our witch in this production. Simon
Floss.
Simon Floss is
who
playing,
just celebrated his 29th birthday.
He sure did.
Yes.
He is playing Jack / the steward in the production. We have Alexandria Thong Vatch, who is playing the baker's wife.
Mm-hmm.
We have Wade Gemar, who is playing the baker. We have Amy Morrison, who is playing 3 roles. She's playing Rapunzel and Jack's mom and the stepmother from Cinderella.
And see, we normally think of Amy as being in the band or in an orchestra.
Yes,
and so forth,
and that's what she's done previously with this production. So she's pretty excited to get on this stage and get to, show that side of her creative talents. And who else am I missing? I have Coleman Peterson as one of my princes / a stepsister in Cinderella. And then he's also playing the wolf. And then Brady Boersma is playing another prince and a stepsister and Milky White the cow. And I think that might be everybody. I'm going to feel bad if I forgot someone, but that's our strong ensemble of 10.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. And as you mentioned, some of them are already Goodnight Theater collectives.
Yes.
As in the collective membership part of it and so forth. And boy, some strong talent in there.
Yes. Oh, I know who I forgot. I need to mention her. Okay, so we have Alex Newcomb-Weiland also playing Little Red.
Yeah.
Yes. So just a standout cast all around.
You do. Yeah. When you already have a standout cast like that and you start rehearsals, how do you approach it as a director? I mean, in the back of your mind, are you thinking, oh, this is going to be a breeze? Or how do I still enforce, with all this talent out there, how do I still make it that they come together as a cast and make this production top notch?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting with Goodnight because it has its own sort of challenges. We have a very tight rehearsal schedule. And so there's a lot of content. I mean, Into the Woods is 2.5-hour show in a very tight rehearsal time. So, so we have a very sort of structured rehearsal schedule. It's been interesting. A lot of our actors have done this show before in different parts. But we have also folks who've never seen the show before and everybody in between in terms of our experience level with it.
Which is probably what you're going to have as an audience too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we came in just with this, concept of what is it that we're hoping to accomplish together through this? What is it that excites us about this musical? Because a lot of us have sort of this rich history with it. And then really just working together as an ensemble to tell this story in our way, which is going to be a little bit different than your sort of traditional French fairy tale. Our aesthetic is a little bit more, I would say, good night feeling.
Good night-ish.
Yes, in that we've got some sort of modern takes that we're bringing into it. The set itself is a little bit more sort of abstract and again, sort of a little bit of a modern, edgy feel to what we're bringing to the story.
All right, look forward to that. It's I'm guessing it's going to be outstanding because I have yet to go to a Goodnight Theater Collective production and go, yeah. No, it's always standing ovations for everything. And so very much excited about that. Yeah. What's been the most important part for you in getting this story across?
There are just some really universal, beautiful themes in Into the Woods that I've been excited to explore and that I think are particularly timely in this year and this time. One of the main things that's been exciting for me about this production is exploring this idea of accomplishing one's own sort of wishes and desires versus needing to come together as a community to work together to overcome or to accomplish something that's beyond the single person. And I think that's a really interesting theme for us, frankly, in this year coming out of COVID, looking at just these big battles that we face as a society that take us coming together and what can that look like? And what are the challenges to getting there? That's been a theme that's been exciting to explore. Also, I mean, families are such a piece of Into the Woods, this idea of parents and children and how we navigate those relationships, and also what is your legacy when you pass on from this world. And so all of these are just, I think, beautiful human stories through a fairy tale lens that are really just rich and exciting to tell right now.
And we love that type of theater. Mm-hmm. What do you love about theater? What got you into it?
I grew up in a theater family. My father was a theater teacher in high school. He and my mother was a music teacher, and they would co-direct for the community theater in Aberdeen, South Dakota. So I was in my first show when I was 4 years old. I don't know that I had an option.
Probably not at that age. Didn't have an agent yet, huh?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No. But I continued to do theater with them all throughout, my youth. And I ended up getting my theater major as one of my majors in college. And so it's always kind of been a piece that is community to me. I mean, I love the sense of everyone working together towards a common goal in the art form is just a neat aspect of it. And like the side of me that's sort of the nerdy psychologist, if you will, loves to explore a character, loves to kind of put yourself into a different character's shoes or explore that with an actor that I'm working with. Those are the exciting things for me. What's been the best character for you using that of the nerdy psychology and getting into it? Oh, you know, I love all the characters that I've played for different reasons. You know, the most recent thing that folks have seen multi-personalities. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't we all have them? I mean, definitely. Different sides that one can explore. There you go. Most recently, I was in Blood Brothers with the Premier Playhouse. That was an interesting production. Phenomenal show. Oh, yeah. That was a lot of fun. It will be tough to beat at Stage Awards, I think. Yeah, that was beautiful. But that was a tough character with sort of a lot of layers to it, which I enjoyed. And then in Into the Woods, it's fun to explore. All of Sondheim's characters are so richly written. I mean, that's one of sort of the joys of working on a Sondheim musical. I mean, musically, it's gorgeous too, and interesting rhythms, but the characters are rich and complex and very much live in a world of moral ambiguity where things are not necessarily black and white. They're struggling with these shades of gray that they have to kind of work through. So there's a lot of material to dig through, which is totally fun for all of our actors. And it's great for me to be able to chat with them about all of that too. We get to nerd out together. What do you bring to the stage as an actor? And follow up with what do you bring to the stage as a director? You know, as an actor, I think that I am a skilled listener. I think I'm a skilled listener in life. And so I strive to be a good scene partner to those that I'm working with and to very sort of actively be there and be in the scene. That's one thing I think I bring to the table as an actress. As a director, I think, you know, I spent a lot of years in management. And so being able to really kind of work on, you know, what is a structure whereby we can sort of work together to get this big thing accomplished, right? To being able to structure things and to, you know, have that acting background too, where you kind of understand what the actors are facing in terms of their challenges, being able to offer them the repetition they need to get done what we need to. But I think being able to kind of create that strong structure for everybody to succeed is something that I think I'm okay at. So you grew up in a family in theater and music. Yeah. Who do you look up to in theater and music? That's a great question. I get in one per conversation. One great question. Yeah, you're doing well. You know, I look up to my father, frankly, who was a theater director, and was just an incredibly personable person. You know, he would create beautiful community with everyone he was around. And so I look up to that for sure in terms of developing those relationships, because at the end of the day, again, I feel like that's really what it's about, right? Frankly. I think that, you know, I've worked with a lot of wonderful directors over the years who, again, just have an openness to, you know, working with you to develop a character. I'm always interested in that side of it. And or just have beautiful creative vision too. Like I look up to Bob, who's in my cast right now, for what he brings scenically, in terms of his like visual art background as well as his theatrical prowess, to be able to really envision a different world is something that I look up to him from. Some of the other folks I've worked with locally, Molly Wilson, who you've probably seen on stage here before too, was one of the people who taught me the most about working with children. We grew up together in Aberdeen, and so I took tips from her as well as from my current executive director at the Levitt, Nancy. She is another very skilled children's theater director. So lots of people. No doubt, you know? Yeah. And we'll talk about the Levitt coming up in just a little bit, but let's continue on our theater theme at this point. What is a role that you have not played but would love to be cast as? Oh, you know, I'm up for just about any challenge. I mean, I would, like most of the females in this show, I would play any of the females and Into the Woods in a moment. All of us
Did
are
you
like
think of
pointing
casting yourself?
Oh no. But everybody's pointing at each other going, oh, you've got my dream role. You've got my dream role. So I would love to play like the witch or the baker's wife at some point. I'd take Jack's mother, you name it. They're all so wonderful.
Who came to you about joining Goodnight to begin with? And then who said, you want to direct this one?
Bob Wendland.
Bob, both times?
Yep,
Okay.
approached me. We had worked together at the Pavilion for several years, and I had worked with him as a director before at what used to be the Sioux Empire Community Theater when it was
Now
the
Premier
Sioux
Playhouse,
Empire Community Theater. Yes, I had directed How I Became a Pirate with him many years ago, and so he had, I think, seen what I could do in terms of being a director and being a manager, and he approached me as one of the first directors that they've worked with Goodnight who are outside of the collective.
Right. Yeah. So you've got a lot ahead of you yet. What are you thinking that is going to be besides? We're going, like I said, we'll talk about the Levitt a little bit because that's the full-time gig. But in terms of the acting, the directing, what's ahead for Rose?
My hope is to continue to be in the theater community. They have not announced the season yet, but I have agreed to direct one of Goodnight's productions next year as well.
Wonderful.
They'll be announcing it at Into the Woods, so another reason to get your tickets. I also anticipate I'll be just doing some directing for Monstrous Theater Company next year.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, working with Debbie Jones and all that crew. Yeah,
yes.
Fantastic.
And I have directed for them previously, and I love theater in small spaces, so their work is always exciting to me.
That's one of the great things that I have seen. I grew up in the area, and so I was starting to come to Sioux Falls when the population was 80,000. But having lived here now for 25 years, I think what the greatest thing that I have seen is the explosion in arts and entertainment.
Yeah.
And things along the lines of small places to play. Mm-hmm. Who would have thought 10, 15 years ago, hey, let's put on a play at Book Co-op. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for everybody, musicians as well, all the bars and so forth that have music now. So it's just been great to see all that, while at the same time having a major facility such as the Washington Pavilion and having the Premier Playhouse and, the changes that they've gone through to get to a very high standard. And then along comes this little company called Goodnight Theater.
Yeah.
And then here comes Monstrous Little Theater. Yeah. And here comes Broadcast Theater. Mm-hmm. And all the places and venues, it's just been heartwarming to see that. And what's that have to do for you then as somebody that's so involved in it?
I love it. I think it activates our entire community. I think the businesses also benefit from that, as well as the arts organizations, and particularly those that are willing to sort of come up as a new organization, right? That don't necessarily have a ton of resources, but have these beautiful ideas and this energy to bring to the scene, to be able to have some precedent to know that can happen in our community, that you can find unique places, that they're not going to turn you down, that you can, put on a play in the corner of a bar if you need to. It just opens us up to new creative possibilities because, while the big stages are wonderful, as you mentioned, they're designed for a certain type of show too. It's difficult to pull off a smaller 1-person, 2-person, 3-person show in a giant space like the Orpheum or the Washington Pavilion main stage. But in an intimate setting, it can be more powerful. And so I love it.
Excellent. All right, let's switch gears now.
Okay.
You are wearing your Levitt at the Falls Building Community Through Music sweatshirt.
I am.
In fact, not just sweatshirt, a cool-looking hoodie, really.
It is great.
Yeah, that it is. It looks like one of those comfy, I'm going to have you as a friend for a long time sweatshirts.
Yes. It is not good in the season, but I've found in this off-season time, it is just
very
perfect.
True, yeah. All right, so we've got a big season coming up. We're going to get those 50 in, aren't we?
Yes, 50 free concerts.
Yeah, Mother Nature aside. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to say it. We're going to say we're getting to 50.
All right. I like that. That's what I'm shooting for, too. It's been such a great thing to see. And I've had Nancy on a few times to talk about it in the past. And when are we going to get the full slate?
So the full lineup will be released on May 5th.
May 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
So you have a little time. Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. So we got to wait. But we're starting to see some of the things that are coming through.
Yeah.
And it's just such a unique way for music to be presented. First of all, for those that are unfamiliar, completely have been behind a rock for a few years now, every one of the shows is free.
Free.
Yes. They'll pass around a bucket, take donations and so forth, but it is free.
Yes.
And it's outdoors in a beautiful setting. And I remember the first time going for some training as a volunteer and standing on the stage and looking out and going, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of space. How are they ever going to fill it? And then let's see, I think it was indigenous, according to fireflies. And suddenly people are sitting on the other side of the street of Phillips Avenue.
Yes, we could use just a slightly bigger space on some of those concert nights, for sure. Yes.
Yeah, but what types of things are we going to be seeing? I know last year there was kind of like a mini series of different types, like a women's women in music type series and so forth. Anything along that line, or is everything opposite this year?
Yeah. So as a part of the 50 free concerts, we have a really diverse, varied lineup. That is always the goal, is that, what we're programming is reflective of the various tastes in our community. So we don't want it to be all the same all the time. That's part of the beauty, is that you get to try something new. So we have 10 different genres this year, which is, I think, what you're referring to.
Right, yes.
Again, we'll see if I can remember all of them. I need my list of 10.
We'll forgive you if you don't on this.
But, Americana, country, rock and roll, a funk and blues, which is a new one for us this year. We're doing one called Vintage Vibes, which is something, if it kind of throws back to a certain era.
Psychedelic.
Yeah,
60s,
potentially.
70s maybe?
You get to pick your vintage, maybe, based on your own era.
You have to break out the Austin Powers suit.
There you go. Women in Song, we are doing again, featuring female artists. We have a homegrown series. So those are all artists that are based in Sioux Falls. We have a Garden Fresh series, which is always fun. That's sort of like your hip hop, your pop, your rap. We have a family music series, and then I'm missing one. I'll have to think on it and come back to it.
Well, both lists you've been 9 out of 10 to start with, and you came back with the 10th one on the on your cast.
I'll find it.
You'll
World
probably
music.
find it here.
World music. I got it already.
All right, so that's that comes out, the full schedule.
Yes.
On May 5th.
May 5th.
And then when do we start?
June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Yep.
And it goes through
September 10th.
Yeah, through Labor Day this year.
Yep.
Past it.
Yep.
Wow, incredible.
So every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night from June 3rd to September 10th, there will be a concert at the Levitt. In addition to that, the family series I mentioned will happen on Friday mornings. So about every other Friday morning, we'll have a special show that's really geared towards youth and towards families to come on out, and those youth groups come out as well. But yeah, it's a consistent schedule. And so again, if you're just downtown, you can pop by and see what happens to be happening on the Levitt on any Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. We'll have great music.
Yeah, the first year you did Sunday afternoons.
We did.
And kind of mixed reaction.
Yeah. It was hot, and it wasn't as busy. And so we just, but Thursdays have been going great for us.
They have.
And so we've kind of invested more in that time frame and in those Friday mornings for kids.
And Thursday seems to be a big night around town anyway.
Yeah.
Shows tend to open on Thursday nights, and a lot going on downtown, especially summertime. So,
and we've been able to route some interesting artists on Thursdays who we might not be able to get on Fridays and Saturdays too. So that's kind of a little insider tip, is, check out the Thursdays. There's some real solid artists that we tend to get routing through on those days.
I will keep that in mind. Now, I did pass along a group that I wanted Nancy to take a look at. They happened to be on CBS Saturday morning.
Okay.
In the, I think they call them Saturday morning sessions or something. Yeah. And they hold the record for being on CBS Saturday morning sessions with 5 appearances.
Okay.
And so I tell her to go to that, and she says, okay, I'll look it up. And then they had one clunker of a song, and I'm like, oh, I hope she doesn't judge them all off that. Listen to some of their previous stuff, please. Because it was a little different.
Okay.
And not their typical things. But I will, bug you after we're finished talking then to see if they made the list.
See if they made the super secret list. Well, we have released one of our bands. I doubt this is the band that
it wasn't.
suggested, but we always release a little bit early the national tour. So there's one show that goes to all the Levitt venues in the nation, and that has been released this year. That's the New Respects, which is a really fun sort of family-based pop group based out of Nashville. Really kind of fun fusion of sounds and super high energy performance. So I think people are really going to enjoy that one.
That'll be a good one, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right, so the final two questions, and I have gotten to the point now where I tell people how you answer question number one might determine whether there's even a question number two.
Okay.
But when you are not part of the arts and entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Ooh, my dog is pretty entertaining
okay.
in his own way. And I love to garden. I love to be outside. And I'm a bit of a foodie too. So
really?
Yes.
Favorite dish?
Oh my gosh. Just about anything.
Okay.
Anything. You'll find us at all the ethnic restaurants. So
really?
We love Indian, Thai, anything with some sort of spice and joy to it. We're there.
Oh, so. Excellent choice. See, you did go ahead and answer the second question, because that's any other hobbies?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, Rose Ann Hofland, thank you so much for being on the Dave Holly Hour.
You bet.
Finally got to have the opportunity. We had talked a while back. And by the way, I still think that last year's photo shoot for Sioux Falls Stage for the panelists that year is one of the best pictures that's ever been taken.
The finest edition.
I think so.
I mean, the finest cover group of models by far.
No doubt. All right. Thanks, Rose. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation. 605-332-9235 or exokairos.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
Thanks again, everybody, for listening, but thanks to my very wonderful guests, Bob Nelson and Rose Ann Hofland. Also, shout out to the man that put the R in our wine bar, Ricardo Terabelsi, as we do record a great many of our conversations at our wine bar, sometimes in the upper floor, in the back, but this week it was all down in the basement, which is a cozy little place, by the way. Okay, and of course, thank you to you. The Dave Holly Hour Facebook page continues to grow. We're climbing steadily toward a big downloads number as well. Then don't forget, you also can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, Dave Holly Hour. Plus, find every one of the now 124 episodes at davehollyhour.com. And that's going to do it for this week. Remember, you can't have heart without art. My name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffitt Entertainment. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to davehollyhour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional links section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holly on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holly Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.